Roger, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Roger Heighton, our local San Mateo, but basically probably anywhere in California, farmers insurance agent, right?
That's it, Joe. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's been very busy lately.
Perfect. So the reason why I'm reaching out to you is because there's obviously been a lot of information out in the news and all over social media and just different groups that I'm in about basically issues with our California insurance policies, and specifically homeowners insurance, and as it relates to the fires, right? And all the fires that happened over the last several years. And basically some of the headlines that we've been reading is that State Farm has pulled out of doing insurance policies with California. And so there's a lot of noise out there. And so I wanted to have you on so that we can talk and you can tell us a little bit about what's going on in the trenches out in the field, and just add a little bit more clarity and details, and so we can move through the noise and talk about what's really happening.
I'll do my best to give you and your customers and friends some background information. I think it's probably important to start with me saying that what I'm about to discuss, they're my views as an insurance professional, as a licensed insurance agent here in California. They are not necessarily the views of a particular any insurance company, whether it's one I represent or anything else. But again, these are just my observations as a licensed agent broker here in California for the last 22 years. And I think what it's important that you and your customers and my customers understand is that California is in a very difficult phase of insurance right now, where costs have been increasing and uncertainty has been increasing in terms of the risks that are out there. We're all very aware of the wildfires that have occurred in California over the last several years. This year was a very mild season because of all the rain we had. But I'd say for probably the last 3 to 4 years before that, basically the state of California is burned down. None of us will ever forget that day here in the Bay Area here where the sun never came out. Remember, it was like that burnt orange color sky, and the streetlights were on in the middle of the day. So those risks have affected costs. At the same time, many insurance companies have not been able to adjust their pricing to reflect those risks. And what sometimes as a consumer we don't realize is that in California, insurance pricing is regulated by the California Department of Insurance. And because that pricing is regulated, insurance companies oftentimes cannot respond quickly to what's happening in the marketplace. It's not like with the pandemic the pandemic that occurred, many of us saw the price of eggs and milk, shoot up dramatically. And that's a case where producers sometimes were maybe overly aggressive in terms of increasing prices, but at least they did their best to keep the shelves stocked. On the insurance side, insurance companies aren't allowed to adjust prices like that without prior approval from the California Department of Insurance. And that's been hard to get. And so because these prices have lagged behind what might be dictated by these increasing risks in California, the only alternative, which we as consumers, you, Joe, and me, and our customers are facing, is that some carriers have said, well, look, if it's going to cost me $1.20 to take care of this product, but I can only collect $1 for it, the reaction is, well, maybe I really shouldn't be selling that product right now. And so that's put, my customers and your customers in a bind sometimes in terms of purchasing insurance. As you pointed out, State Farm had, surprised, to my knowledge, their agents did not get any advance notice of that pullout. To my understanding, they were just notified that Friday that State Farm was going to stop writing new home insurance business in California that night. Allstate announced they had pulled out of California the week after that, I believe. And then some other carriers are restricting their business. So it's created a tighter situation.
I understand the layman way that the insurance industry works. And basically it's, well, hey, look, we're going to take in this money in premiums and we're going to pay out this money in claims. And basically we have to make a profit as a business in order to keep operating. And so that means that the amount of money that we take in premiums is going to have to be more than the amount of money that we pay out in claims. And so what's looking like is because claims have increased significantly over the last several years because of the increased fires that have happened specifically in the state of California. Now, these insurance companies need to adjust their premiums to go up to be able to stay profitable. And so what it sounds like you're saying is that those premiums are regulated of what they're allowed to increase to. And based on that, they're not allowing them to increase it enough in order to make a profit. And so they're like, well, if we can't make a profit, if we're going to lose money on this product, then we're just not going to sell this product. And that's basically what you're saying?
I would say you summed it up pretty well. Yeah, I'd say you summed it up pretty well. Fortunately, in California, there is, regarding home insurance, there is what's called insurer of last resort. And in California, it's called the FAIR plan, FAIR. Participating insurance companies can fall back. And if you cannot get insurance through a normal carrier, if you can't find coverage in what's called the normal standard market, one can fall back on what's called the FAIR plan. Many companies can write policies through there, or they can also write what's called insurance terminology, a wraparound policy, or sometimes the insurance term is a difference in conditions policy. And the way I will sometimes explain that to a customer is think of it as two puzzle pieces. And neither puzzle piece gives you the full picture, but one piece combined with the other will fit together and give you more or less complete insurance. And so what many companies are doing, if we cannot find coverage in the standard market, is we will fall back on the California FAIR plan to offer the fire portion of the home insurance, including other items that the FAIR plan will cover. And then we'll look to a companion policy over here, which will pick up liability and some of the things that the FAIR plan doesn't cover. And we marry those two together to get a wraparound or coverage for the homeowner. Is it the ideal situation? Professionally, I would say no. I would say that professionally, it's in the customer's best interest if we can get one policy that handles everything. But if that's not available, I would stress at homeowners, it's good to know that there is this backup, which we almost always take care of a situation.
But as far as just, where things are headed, are you hearing about any changes potentially coming from, I guess, the California Insurance Commissioner or whatever governing body it is to allow insurance companies to raise their premiums? Or what, I guess, what are negotiations or what's going on with all that?
The California Department of Insurance is very robust. And over the years, it's really done a great job of protecting the California consumer from very large, unexpected rate increases that happen in many other states around the country. But I think this is a case, personally, again, I'm not reflecting any particular insurance company, just my opinion. I think that in the particular case, they've fallen behind the curve in perhaps trying to be too overly protective of the consumer. And that's resulted in what I would say is probably this unintended consequence where now consumers are not able to get insurance in many cases where they'd like to. I personally believe that they are seeing this pressure. I did see a bulletin from them come out to licensed brokers in California that said they were looking at it. And I truly suspect that within the next probably year or two, I know that may sound like a long time, but I believe it takes a while to address this situation. I truly believe it will get addressed. And insurance companies want to be in the California market. It's a large market. I don't think State Farm wants to pull out of California. I don't think Allstate wants to pull out of California. I think that they've just had to institute a temporary moratorium until these pricing situations can get adjusted.
So it sounds like you have an optimistic view.
I
do.
Yeah,
perfect. And so probably it's not, this is just maybe a temporary, maybe even a little bit more kind of like playing poker. Like, hey, guess what? Fine, we're out of here, and would put pressure on the different parties until some sort of resolution is figured out. But as far as right now, and while we're waiting this, potentially a year or two until a lot of these things get sorted out, for the most part, what you're saying is that homeowners can pretty much still get insurance, homeowners insurance, fire insurance, flood insurance, all types of insurance that they would need.
My office has not come across a situation yet where we have not been able to help a customer. And I'm sure that would probably be true of most brokers, yes.
Okay. And then one other thing is that I'm hearing is, I guess, a lot more scrutiny from insurers on insuring homes that have knob and tube wiring. Now, as you know, in our area, especially, many of the homes were built with knob and tube wiring, so built before the 70s. I'm part of a bunch of Facebook realtor forums, right, where different realtors post things, and they post most of the time they're kind of horror stories and these issues that are happening. And that's a topic that I've seen recurring is the knob and tube wiring. So that is a little bit concerning because, maybe you and I both know that most homes in our area have knob and tube wiring somewhere. Oftentimes, right, somebody remodeled the kitchen, remodeled the bathroom, did it with permits or even without, but upgraded the electrical and put in electrical panels with breakers and all these things. But there might be some knob and tube wiring somewhere left over in the house controlling light switches or something like that, which is pretty common. What can you tell us about that?
Well, you're right. It is a real concern for insurance companies. Most insurance companies will not write knob and tube wiring. I don't know as any insurance company is going to go in and rip up every single wall in the house to see if knob and tube wiring is in there, but they do ask the homeowner, are they aware of any knob and tube wiring in the home, or does it appear that any is present? You know, if you've answered that question honestly to the best of your knowledge, the homeowner has answered that question to the best of their knowledge, that no, they're not aware of any knob and tube wiring in the home, then I think they're probably safe with their application going forward with the insurance company. What I would recommend that they not do is knowing that if they know that there's knob and tube wiring in the home, then I think that it's very important that they disclose that to any insurance company they're looking for coverage for, because you would never want to create a situation where a claim happened and they say, oh yeah, it was clearly right there in the inspection report, you didn't tell us about that, and then give an insurance company, you know, for contractual legal reasons, a reason to deny a claim. But I think that they're always going to be able to find coverage, and even if they're doing it on a temporary basis until they can flip the house or redo the wiring of the home and then immediately rewrite it. In most cases in California, you can cancel an insurance policy at any time and get a refund for the unused portion of it. So you're not locked into the policy for a year in most cases. Once you've done the upgrades, then switch it to a carrier that's going to be happy with your brand new renovated house.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much. That was super helpful. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that maybe I should have that is important on this topic?
Well, the only thing I would add, and I'll give this as a shameless plug to you, Joe, is that I think it's so important that customers work with a good, reputable realtor. And I promise, I know for all you folks that are listening here, Joe did not pay me to say this, but I've worked with him for quite a few years, and he and his team of realtors are extremely knowledgeable. And I would stress that there are a lot of realtors out there or real estate agents out there that sell homes. But what I've consistently seen with Joe and his team is they know what they're talking about. They know how to do their research, and they know how to give their customers best advice possible. So sorry, Joe, I know it sounds like a commercial for you, but you deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, likewise, you are very helpful, very knowledgeable. And that's why we refer our clients to you to get their homeowners insurance. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Hope you have a nice day now.
You too. Thank you.